ददाति सुपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सागर रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिपन्नसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेव श्रीराधाकृष्णपादं सागर ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितमिश्र नमो विष्णुपादाय विष्णुप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवगौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषण्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशाय नमो महाउदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरतुष्ये नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका राधा कांत नमोस्तुते सप्तकांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी शुभानुसुते देव प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्त हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे You can all be muted and you can recite along with me. कार्पण्यदोषोपहतस्वभावापुच्छामितां धर्मसम्मूढचरितम् यश्रेयस्या निश्चितं ब्रूतन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम् देहिनोऽस्मिन् यदा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहान्तरप्राप्ते धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यते न जायते म्रूयते वा कदाचिन् अयं भूत्वा भविता वनभूया अजो नित्यशाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमानेषु भोगैश्वर्यप्रसक्तानां तयोपहृतचेतसां व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः समाधौ न विधीयते प्रकृते क्रियमाणानि गुणैकर्माणि सर्वशः अहङ्कारभूतात्मा कर्ताहमिति मन्यते एवं परम्परा प्राप्तम् इमं राजऋषयो विदुः सकाले हन्ता योगो नष्टः परन्तप परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्मसंस्थापनार्थाय सम्भवामि युगे युगे जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया परीक्षन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयो न एव ते आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय नितेषु रमते बुधा भोक्तारां यज्ञतपसा सर्वलोकमहेश्वरं सर्वदं सर्वभूतानां ज्ञात्वा मां शान्तिमृच्छति योगिनामपि सर्वेषां मद्गतेन अन्तरात्मनं श्रद्धावान् भजति यो मां सम्यक् युक्ततमो मतः Okay, today who wants to read? So, yes, bro. Yeah. So where are we? Okay. Yeah. Like in this last verse, last two verses we were discussing. Yeah, in the last three verses. So the first verse is controlling the internal temptations. The sense gratification, desires for enjoyment proposed by mind. So the sthita prajna, he doesn't focus on them, but instead he focuses on the activities of the atma. And in the second is dukkeshu anadvinamana sukeshu vigata spruha. So he sees the both dukkha and sukha as the arrangement of destiny, and he is not attached, he is not anxious, or he is not angry. And then third is whatever affection, appreciation, or criticism he gets, he accepts. That means he does not get averse or he doesn't get attached. Okay. Yeah, one example. So this is a post by an astrologer. Means he's very learned in Vedas, and he stays in US, and he's studied in IIT Madras. He's a Vedic scholar. So he wrote this post when he was felicitated by some by Arya Samaj in US. So yeah, okay. So what he writes is, technically what I was honored with was not called a lifetime achievement award, but deep appreciation for seminal contribution to the cause of spreading this divine knowledge in the world. In any case, my main contribution to Jyotish is hopefully yet to come, provided Mother keeps me alive. Mother, he is referring to Durga mostly. After all, our understanding of the teachings of rishis is still quite imperfect. As for humility, despite fame and success, ability and opportunity to do good work and make name is a blessing due to previous punya. So, no, Sukeshu Vigata Spruha. Pride slows its flow and depletes punya. As I always say, a servant carrying queen's jewelry box and trash can are not really different. Sincerity and humility define a good servant and not the value of which property of queen one carries. A famous scholar of Jyotisha and Vedanta and a street beggar are mere servants carrying different possessions of mother. Not realizing that and taking pride of temporary possessions can make one bounce between many such transient realities, while fully realizing that can set one free. Yeah, so you see, he has very proper understanding of the law of karma and the temporary nature of material pleasure, and he wants to contribute to the society and to the tradition of astrology. He also made a software, which is a very nice software for astrology, and make it free. He's not charging. Many people use it and all. Yeah. Of course, some other people also may have, but he's like uh, he's situated in the way understanding of Vedas and also is more appropriate example. You may find some others also, some who does social service and like that. Beautiful people like that. Yeah, this is a more Nishkam Karma example, and now yeah, we can see a devotional example. Many of you must have seen it. But, yeah, so similar principle in devotional realm. Somebody of such big position, somebody offering thunders to somebody, but not attached and returning. Yeah. In Nishkam Karma, yeah, this talk about dutifulness is there. Of course, in again you will see it in third chapter, fourth chapter, fifth chapter. It's going to be a repeating theme. But yeah, there are some aspects of dutifulness. Some more also can be there. One is like admitting one's own mistakes and taking responsibility of them. While discussing Ishopnishad, we saw the video of Abdul Kalam and Satish Dhawan. So when there was a failure, Satish Dhawan takes responsibility in the press meet, and when there was a success, he asks Abdul Kalam to speak. Then not getting into blame game and giving credit to others where it is due, and being sensitive to others' needs and concerns, considering oneself an instrument, and willingness to sacrifice one's own interests and opinions when situation demands. There are some things, but yeah, some more can also. Okay. Okay, we'll now the second question of Arjuna, like how he controls his senses. So that question of Arjuna, Krishna answer. यदा यदा संहरते चायं कूर्मो अंगानि व सर्वशः
यदा सम्पञ्चायं कुर्मः इव सर्वशः
इन्द्रियाणि इन्द्रियार्थेभ्यस्तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता.
इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यस्तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता.
The translation: one who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects as the tortoise draws its limbs within the shell is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. The test of a yogi, devotee, or self-realized. Okay, you can read from it.
The test of a yogi, devotee, or self realized soul is that he is able to control the senses according to his plan. Most people, however, are servants of the senses and are thus directed by the dictation of the senses. That is the answer to the question as to how the yogi is situated. The senses are compared to a venomous serpents. They want to act very loosely and without restriction. The yogi or the devotee must be very strong to control the serpents like a snake charmer. He never allows them to act independently. There are many injunctions in the revealed scriptures. Some of them are do nots, and some of them are do's. Unless one is able to follow the do's and the don'ts, restricting oneself from sense enjoyment, it is not possible to firmly fix in the Krishna consciousness. Should I continue?
Yeah, you can continue.
The best example set herein is the tortoise. The tortoise can at any moment wind up its senses and exhibit them again at any time for particular purposes. Similarly, the senses of the Krishna conscious person are used only for some particular purpose in the service of the Lord and are withdrawn otherwise. Arjuna is being taught here to use his senses for the service of the Lord instead for his own satisfaction. Keeping the senses always in the service of the Lord is the example set by the analogy of the tortoise who keeps the senses within.
Okay, thank you. So here Prabhupada is saying one must be very strong to control the serpents. So it's not like strong means one has to have a good, well-built physique or something, but it's like having a strong intelligence. Strong intelligence means the intelligence is filled with the transcendental knowledge. Yeah, you can see this tortoise also. So,
Yeah, that's better.
yeah, this is how it closes.
Is she looking at you?
Yeah. So one needs strong intelligence filled with transcendental knowledge. Transcendental knowledge, yeah, many things like the Atma Gyan, one's own identity, and basically the three things of Sambandha Gyan. What is our nature with the Lord, and what is our relationship with the Lord, and what is our relationship with the nature, and what is law nature's relationship with the Lord. These three things. So that can help. Yeah. And among all the five senses, two powerful senses are eyes and ears. So these are the important senses one has to control. So shutting eyes and ears basically means like no being away from mobile, and then uh, being away from mobile is a very important thing these days when we want to shut our senses. And then uh, like hearing about Krishna, like while traveling or driving and all, and reading or planning about services. So these last three things, they will help us to fix our intelligence. So now uh, that Krishna is going to discuss in the next verse, like just restraining senses from sense objects doesn't just help, but some more. So one more thing, that is focusing intelligence on the a, high, a higher engagement of intelligence is needed. So Vishya vinivartante niraharasya dehina
विषया विनिवर्तन्ते निराहारस्य देहिना
रसवर्ज्यं रसोऽप्यस्य परं दृष्ट्वा निवर्तते.
रसवर्जं रसोऽप्यस्य परं दृष्ट्वा निवर्तते.
Translation: though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains. But seizing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, one is fixed in consciousness. Yeah. So repression of senses basically means separation of senses from sense objects. That's what Krishna talked about earlier. So separating the eyes from beautiful things, separating separating the ears from sounds, separating the tongue from food, separating the skin from touch, and separating the nose from fragrances. All these things. Of course, going into nature also helps one to restrain oneself from sense objects. But even somebody does it, there is a desire, because earlier one has engaged in this life and also in the previous lives one has engaged. So there is a strong desire. So that taste for sense objects, rasa, exists. But so what? So for that, what has to happen? Yes, separation. So for that, what is needed? Param Drishva. So that Param Drishva in Nishkam Karma Yoga is basically mean meditation on the transcendental knowledge. Yeah, so like they try to meditate on the meanings of the things, of the statements of Upanishads, like Aham Brahmasmi, and and how in that current situation how they have to apply it, and Aham Brahmasmi and Tattvamasi, all these things, and also the knowledge of detachment, like the Bhajagovindam thing. We can just yeah, so like this, no, oh fool, give up your thirst to amass wealth, devote your mind to thoughts, to the real, be content with that comes through actions already performed in the past. The life of a man is as uncertain as raindrops trembling on a lotus leaf. Know that the whole world remains a prey to disease, ego, and grief. So long as a man is fit and able to support his family, see the affection all those around him show. But no one at home cares to even have a word with him when his body totters due to old age. When one is alive, his family members inquire kindly about his welfare. But when the soul departs from the body, even his wife runs away in fear of the corpse. The childhood is lost by attachment to playfulness. Youth is lost by attachment to woman. Old age passes away by thinking over many past things. But there is hardly anyone who wants to be lost in Parabrahma. So like this is the kind of knowledge a typical, one who is practicing Nishkam Karma Yoga, they try to meditate upon. You see, there is one instance when Shivaji Maharaj has conquered a kingdom. So his ministers and the generals and all, So they brought. So they thought that. So he had that king who got defeated. He had a beautiful queen. So they brought her to Shivaji Maharaj. Means they thought that like any other king, they generally do that. So they thought Shivaji Maharaj is also like that. But he tells, no, she's like my mother, and so with all honor of the traditional honor, they send her to again back to her house. I think the king gets killed, so they bring in, so then like that it happens. Yes, bro, you can read the purport.
Unless one is transcendently situated, it is not possible to cease from the sense enjoyment. The process of restriction from sense enjoyment by rules and regulations is something like restricting a diseased person from certain types of eatables. The patient, however, neither likes such restrictions nor loses his taste for eatables. Similarly, sense restriction by some spiritual process like Ashtanga Yoga, in the matter of yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, etc., is recommended for less intelligent persons who have no better knowledge. But one who has tasted the beauty of the Supreme Lord Krishna is the course in the course of his advancement in Krishna consciousness no longer has the taste for the dead material things. Therefore, restrictions are there for less intelligent neophytes in the spiritual advancement of life. But such restrictions are only good until one actually has a taste for Krishna consciousness. When one is actually Krishna conscious, he automatically loses his taste for pale things.
Yeah, if anyone of you had got COVID and got that, one of the symptoms of the COVID was one loses the sensation of tongue
Yeah.
to some extent, or no, it becomes very difficult to take food. Means there is not much impetus to take it, and you see others taking it, and no, even if you eat sweet, also it is just like it is no sensation, but you know that there is good enjoyment in the sweet. So like that, so that is something similar. Like if one just restrains the senses, so then the desire for sense enjoyment remains. So so that's why one has to cultivate a higher taste in the context of Nishkam Karma, that is absorption in the uh, knowledge, transcendental knowledge. Even like for, if let's say, if we are just, if one is just told, no, one should follow the four regulative principles, means one should stay away from intoxication, and one should not have eat meat and all. But there is no concept of prasad, or no, like that no, you should eat very simple food, like that. It's very difficult. But if there is, yeah, you can offer vegetarian food to Krishna, and you can partake the remnants and all, then it becomes easy also to do, to follow the four regulative principles. Otherwise, there are some traditions like some Buddhist saints and all. And if you see Swaminarayan, they mix everything and take. They don't eat separate, sabji, dal, like that. They mix everything so that the tongue is, there is no infatuation for taste. The tongue gets controlled. So, some have very rigid, and it's little difficult to follow. But in devotional service, it's little more easy comparatively. Yeah. This is the test of advancement also, like having how much higher taste one has and lack of taste for lower things. So higher taste is like, at least at a sadhaka level, trying to some sense of higher taste one can get if one can focus on one's service of interest. Somebody may like deity worship, making garlands. Somebody may like to preach. Somebody may like to do some service to Vaishnavas. Somebody may like to cook. So whatever. And then also like hearing from devotees whom one feel inspired from, that also some higher taste. Or like focusing at least on one or two of the Panchamaham, like chanting, deity worship, studying Bhagavatam, or discussing Bhagavatam, doing Vaishnava Seva, or staying in Dham. That can also mean doing service to temple, temple also is it can come in there. So, yeah. Or taking more service responsibilities that can also keep us focused on something higher, more service responsibilities, etc. Of course, even raising devotee children, that is also a service responsibility. But yeah, some more for the community that also that can help. Now, Krishna wants means how senses are very dangerous in this next verse. यततो ह्यपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपश्चिता
यततो हि अपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपश्चिता
इन्द्रियाणि प्रमाथीनि हरन्ति प्रशभं मनः
इन्द्रियाणि प्रमाथीनि हरन्ति प्रशभं
प्रशभं
मनः.
मनः. Yeah. Yeah, so here what is being described is even if one controls the senses, but the senses are very fickle, so they may carry away the mind. The senses are so strong and impetuous, O Arjuna, that they forcibly carry away the mind even of a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them. Vipashchitaha. Someone who has discriminating knowledge of Atma and is trying to control his senses. Means he's trying to control his senses. It's not like he's very advanced and his senses are fully controlled, especially for them. Yeah, it happens like, let's say we want to see some video clip somebody sent on WhatsApp, and uh, then we click it, then there is some next suggestion, recommended videos. So it's easy to fall into that trap and time goes. Instead of 5 minutes becomes half an hour sometimes. So that's an example. Okay. Yes, bro, you can read the purport.
There are many learned sages, philosophers, and transcendentalists who try to conquer the senses, but in spite of their endeavors, even the greatest of them sometimes fall victim to material sense enjoyment due to the agitated mind. Even Vishwamitra, a great sage and a perfect yogi, was misled by Menka into sex enjoyment. Although the yogi was endeavoring for sense control with severe types of penance and yoga practice. And of course, there are so many similar instances in the history of the world. Therefore, it is very difficult to control the mind and the senses without being fully Krishna conscious. Without engaging the mind in Krishna, one cannot cease such material engagements. A practical example is given by Sri Yamunacharya, a great saint and devotee, who says, Yadavadi mama cheta Krishna padar vinda nava navaras
Navaras
उद्यातं
Rantamaste.
रन्तुमसीदत् अवधिपतत्
Tadavadipatas Nari Sangama Smaryamani.
भवति.
Bhavati Mukha Sushtumishtiva.
Since my mind has been engaged in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord Krishna, and I have been enjoying an ever new transcendental humor, whenever I think of sex life with a woman, my face at once turns from it and I spit at the thought.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, one thing is Prabhupada tells also about the next verse in the previous purport. Yeah. So now Krishna is specific, basically here in this verse, he is cautioning Arjuna. Means that how the senses are very strong and very fickle. You see in the modern age also like uh, Bill Gates had sex allegations twice. That's why he was first removed from as CEO and then he was also removed from the board of Microsoft. So means to become rich, he must have had he must have done a lot of austerity and all, but still they fall victim. And there are many members of the royal dynasty uh, in Britain. They were disowned by the family because they have sex allegations, which means they must be trained in the culture of all this, but they had they could not control their senses. So it happens every now and then. Even that recent issue in the Kolkata, all that. Okay. Yeah, you can think for some 2 minutes or so are there can you give some examples from scriptures of devotees who fell prey to their senses. Okay, you can take 2 minutes, then we'll discuss. Yes. So someone wants to tell. No one is there. It's very easy. Yes, bro. Chicken, bro.
Prabhu, we have examples of Vishwamitra, Sugriv, Indra.
Yes, yes. Okay, okay. Thank you. We'll see if someone else. Thank
Yes.
you, bro. Yes. Yes, Shrikant, bro.
Which is Sobari Muni,
Subramani, you can say, of course, devotees, but yeah, fine. No problem. Good.
King Yayati,
Yeah, they also. Yeah, yeah. Good. Thank you. Yes, Soni Mataji.
Prabhuji, Ajami and King Pandu.
Okay. King Pandu, Ajamin. Yes, yes, yes. Fine. Thank you. In CC also there are examples of Chota Haridas, Kala Krishna Das. Yes. So it is it's dangerous. He's a Krishna is saying how the senses are very strong. So now initially Krishna told one solution is to fix the one's intelligence in the transcendence. Now Krishna is telling one more thing in the next verse. Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matpara
Tani Sarvani Samyamya Yukta Asita Matparaha.
vashe hi yasya indriyani tasya prajna pratishthita.
Vashe hi yasya indriyani tasya pradnya pratishtita.
So one who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control and fixes his consciousness upon me is known as a man of steady intelligence. Sarvani samyamya means controlling the senses, like restricting the senses from sense objects. Matparaha means devotion to God. See, Matparaha here in general, this is the first mention of the Bhakti element in Karma Yoga. It's also going to come in third chapter, fourth chapter, also fifth chapter, also, I think. Yeah. So the bhakti element is one of the angas of karma yoga. Like, yeah, I'll explain. So sense control plus devotion to God, which is an anga of karma yoga, that will lead to conquest of senses. Also transcendental knowledge, fixing on both things are there. So in this way, so this is the reason that how the success in karma yoga is dependent on bhakti. Now the karma yoga, what the goal is, what purification, liberation, or attainment of Brahman. One of the angas is bhakti to Vishnu. Bhakti to Vishnu means what they do. Some in yajna they offer ahutis to Vishnu. They basically, one has to accept that Vishnu is the supreme lord of the material world. He is the controller of Prakriti. Like that, they accept and they do some worship. They offer respect to Vishnu and all. And they may also do deity worship, whatever. So, like our bhakti has different Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. Like that, one of the angas for Karma Yoga is bhakti to Vishnu. But apart from that, one has to follow Varnashrama Dharma. In that also there are many Nitya karmas, Naimitika karmas, all that. So along with that, one of the element is bhakti. Of course, in a devotional context, one can say sense control is like 4 regulative principles, but matparaha is like chanting all the 9 processing sense. So that way, the actual sense control can be achieved. Conquest, the senses can be conquered. Okay, now you can think again for 2 minutes. Examples of people who became sense controlled by practicing devotional service. Means earlier senses were not controlled, they were engaged in sinful activities and all, but by doing devotional service, they got control. Okay, yes.
Can I answer, Prabhuji, question?
Yes, Prabhu.
Example of people becoming self-controlled through devotion. Amrish Maharaj?
No, means see, earlier they were not sense controlled, and after that they got sense.
Earlier they were not having sense control. Okay.
Yeah, you can try. We will take first. Yes, Amrita Mataji.
Prabhu, Jaghai Madhai or Ratnakar documents Valmiki
Okay,
received.
yeah, fine, good, very good examples. Yes.
That Bimla Mangal Thakur.
Okay, good answer, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Avtari Chetan Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Then there is dacoit Chandra Rai, who became devotee,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
Yamunacharya Srila Prabhupada himself is quoting.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, Soni Mataji.
When he was earlier king, then he
Okay.
turned to devotion. And Dhruv
Okay.
Maharaj, he was
Yeah.
also initial.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yes. So, yes, nice. Thank you. Also, Mrugari is there and different. Okay. Thank you.
Prabhuji, even Ajamil also.
Jamil also I can see. The third phase of Ajamil. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. So sense control plus fixing the intelligence on transcendental knowledge plus the devotional service means devotion to God. So all these three components lead to conquest of senses. Okay, I'll read it. That the highest conception of yoga perfection, Krishna consciousness, is clearly explained in this verse. And unless one is Krishna conscious, it is not at all possible to control the senses. Very difficult. As cited above, the great Durvasa Muni picked a quarrel with Maharaj Ambarish. And Durvasa Muni unnecessarily became angry out of pride and therefore could not check his senses. On the other hand, the king, although not as powerful a yogi as the sage, but a devotee of the Lord, silently tolerated all the sage's injustices and thereby emerged victorious. So Prabhupada is contrasting between Durvasmani and Ambarish Maharaj. Durvasmani does not have that component of devotion so much, but Ambarish Maharaj has that. So that's why Ambarish Maharaj could control himself when he was provoked. But Durvas Muni could not provoke. So for Durvas Muni, the provoking situation is that he was disrespected. Both disrespect that Ambarish Maharaj took prasad, means he just took water, but he broke fast. That is also for breaking fast, but he started eating, he started taking food before me. So that is a kind of like a disrespect. So, but for Ambarish Maharaj, it's like he was killed. He was almost, it's an attempt to kill, but he could tolerate it because he had that devotion to Lord. That his devotion to Lord has helped him. Okay. So the senses can be completely controlled only by the strength of devotional service to Krishna. Also, the example of fire is sometimes given. As a blazing fire burns everything within a room, Lord Vishnu, situated in the heart of the yogi, burns up all kinds of impurities. This verse is there in the 10th chapter. Nashyami Atma Bhavastha Jnana Deepena Bhaswata. So the fire burns the bad things and it gives light to the in the heart. The Yoga Sutra also prescribes meditation on Vishnu and not meditation on the void. The so-called yogis who meditate on something other than the Vishnu form simply waste other than the Vishnu form simply waste their time in a vain search after some phantasmagoria. Now Krishna is telling that how the mechanism of how the senses actually work and how one can get distracted. So he's telling that so that one who is practicing this Nishkama Karma, they can be careful and they can detect as early as possible when the senses are going astray. So that is the purpose of describing this here. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसा संगस्तेषु पजायते
ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसा संगस्तेषोपजायते
संगात् संजायते कामा कामात् क्रोधो विजायते
संगात् संजयते कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते.
So while contemplating the objects of senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops. And from lust, anger arises. So without spiritual focus, remembering sense objects, dhyayato. So that is dhyayato means remembering the sense objects. Then one get attracted, that they are very nice, like that. Sangha happens, remembering them more and more. Then the desire to enjoy sense objects, the kama, lust happens. Then the lust becomes an obstacle for sense enjoyment. And then if lust gets fulfilled, ultimately lust gets that opportunity to enjoy will somehow get, one loses it. Then anger arises. Yeah, we'll study this. So if you see small children, when they are walking on the road with their parents, they see something and they see another child enjoying something, maybe enjoying a balloon or something. First they see the balloon, then they see the child, then first their senses see that balloon, then they see another child enjoying that balloon. They see, okay, so balloon gives me happiness, so that attraction comes to the balloon. So then that lust develops, that I also should enjoy with that balloon. So then they ask their parents. No, parents maybe, they may be busy, and no, they may be no, we'll purchase later, we have to go fast, or the balloon may be expensive, but then the child will cry. So like that, that's what is being described here. Then what happens next also is going to be described. One who is not Krishna conscious is subjected to material desires while contemplating the objects of senses. The senses require real engagements, and if they are not engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, they will certainly seek engagement in the service of materialism. In the material world, everyone, including Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, to say nothing of other demigods in the heavenly planets, is subjected to the influence of sense objects. And the only method to get out of this puzzle of material existence is to become Krishna conscious Paraha. Prabhupada is giving example of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva was deep in meditation, but when Parvati agitated him for sense pleasure, he agreed to the proposal, and as a result, Kartikeya was born. And Haridas Thakur was a young devotee of the Lord. He was similarly allured by the incarnation of Maya Devi, but Haridas easily passed the test because of his unalloyed devotion to Lord Krishna. Yeah. So Prabhupada is emphasizing on devotional service in every purport. Okay. So now the stage 2 after anger, what happens, that Krishna is describing. Krodha bhavati sammoha, sammoha smriti vibhrama.
क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः
स्मृतिभ्रमशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति.
स्मृतिभ्रमशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति.
The translation. Okay. So from anger, complete delusion arises. Delusion means one has lost reality. So one forgets that no, he is a Atma. The goal is to get out of this material world. So that all delusion, no one gets lost. One thinks no, that balloon is everything. Let's the child, let's for the example, the child thinks that no, balloon is the everything. I need balloon to be happy in life. So something like that. Even the child says no, even the parent says no, take chocolate, no, I want balloon only. So that is called as delusion. Then bewilderment of memory happens. So one forgets everything. So he forgets that actually chocolate is more expensive, balloon you will find everywhere, chocolate is more, but he doesn't. He cries when memory is vivid, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down again at the material world. So this will study from two examples of Bharat Maharaj and Najamel. Okay. By development of Krishna consciousness, one can know that everything has its use in service of Lord. Those who are without knowledge of Krishna consciousness artificially try to avoid material objects, and as a result, although they desire liberation from material bondage, they do not attain to the perfect state of renunciation. Their so-called renunciation is called falgu, or less important. On the other hand, a person Krishna conscious knows how to use everything in the service of the Lord. Therefore, it does not become a victim of material consciousness. Yeah. So Prabhupada again is saying how Krishna consciousness will help one to avoid falling prey to the senses. For example, for an impersonalist, the Lord or the Absolute being impersonal cannot eat. Whereas an impersonalist tries to avoid good eatables, a devotee knows that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer and that he eats all that is offered to him in devotion. So after offering good eatables to the Lord, the devotee takes the remnants for Krishna. Thus everything becomes spiritualized. There is no danger of a downfall. The devotee takes prasadam and Krishna consciousness, whether non-devotee rejects it as material. So yeah, so for a impersonate, it's very difficult to maintain sense control and all. It becomes more challenging. But for a devotee, it is more easy. That's what Prabhupada wants to make. Okay, so there are these stages. So contemplation, then attraction. The contemplation means the sense are coming in the sense object. That contact is happening. Either it is happening in reality or even in the mind also it can happen. Then attraction comes. Attraction means that so one understands, okay, that sense object will give me happiness. That's what the mind says. Then lust, the desire to enjoy means let me enjoy that. Then frustration. So lust has a different stages. Then ultimately it may become frustration, or one may have desire and one may want to enjoy, but that attempt may get failed. So that also one may get frustrated. When the attempt becomes successful, eventually one will get frustrated. Like initially one gets a job and all, job, prestige, everything. That may be there for some years. One may get job at, let's say, 25, 23 years age, but it will be there till 60 years. But after that, it will get frustrated. Or if he loses the job, it may get frustrated. So, or his health goes down and he was not able to go for job, he gets frustrated. Or yeah, he may not get job only. He wants job, but he may not get it. That also gives frustration. So then anger leads to illusion, then loss of memory, then one becomes materialistic. So pranashati means one becomes materialistic. It's not, this can happen uh, in one instance. It's not like one will leave the path, but one will become materialistic, means wants to enjoy the sense objects. Loss of memory means here losing the transcendental knowledge, means forgetting the transcendental knowledge, that the enjoyment from a sense object is temporary and I am a spiritual being, I cannot actually enjoy it. All this knowledge one is forgetting. Illusion means considering that without enjoying the sense object, my life is waste. So something like that. That is like illusion. Yeah. So lust, if not immediately over time, yeah, leads to frustration. Yeah. This is also given. The lust, the Kamadev is supposed to have is described as having 5 arrows. The first arrow is pleasing and desiring feeling. That yeah, like yeah, if you take example of a boy and a girl, so initially one may see, okay, that girl is beautiful or something like that, and she talks very sweetly and all. Then creates attraction or temptation. Okay, then there is a desire. No, okay, let me approach her or something like that. Then there is infatuation or delusion. Oh, without her, no, my life is waste, and becomes weak. One becomes weak-hearted. Okay, I should anyhow always maintain the relationship with her. And one is ready to do anything, everything, may take loans, purchase whatever they want, like that. Then death. So she may leave him, or he may become frustrated of her. So something like that. So that way. Okay. So the first section is the section of Ajamil. You can go through this verses range, and you can identify which verse, what stage of the these 8 stages are there. No? So these 8 stages, which one it is referring to? And the then next section is of Bharat Maharaj. So the 1 to 14 verses are there. The translations you can go through and see which arrow of lust it is indicating. So one verse can contain more than one also. One can be contemplation as well as getting attracted. Or one can be infatuation, delusion, as well as weakness or love sickness. One verse can also matter. Okay. So I'll send you this thing in the WhatsApp. You can take 10 minutes, then we will discuss. Yeah, so these stages are there here. Okay. So for Ajamil's case, these stages, and for Bharat Maharaj, the 5 arrows of lust. Okay, I hope you're done with it. So, okay, so you can raise hands who all wants to answer. Then we will
Yes,
divide the
Prabhuji, can
number.
I answer?
Like who all want to answer, they can raise hands. Then we will divide the shlokas and then we'll ask one by one. Okay.
Can I answer, Prabhuji?
Wait, we will ask one by one.
Yes, Prabhuji.
What is the range? Okay, Vaikundi Bihari Prabhu want to answer? Okay, so first
Yes, Prabhuji. First
50
question, can you please ask the question?
No, actually, na. ठीक है. First, we will start with somebody, then you will understand what is the question. Then
Acha,
you will-
I have got the question, but is a little doubtful. But I will say Vazamil is the first contemplations, and the shloka is the hypo.
First, you can see others, then you will understand, then you can answer.
Yeah, sure, Prabhuji.
Okay, Shrikant Pro, maybe we'll start with you. Okay, so first 58 to 60, what is the
Contemplation and attraction.
okay attraction also? Okay, 61.
Lusty desire to enjoy.
Okay, yeah, you can say that. Also attraction, also you can say. Okay, 62.
62, I thought it's like loss of memory because he was trying to remember the instructions.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that also we can say. But still, it can be also again lust also you can say. Yes. Okay, 63.
63, Praji, illusion.
Yeah, illusion is correct. Illusion is correct. Okay. 64.
I again thought illusion.
Yeah, illusion is correct. Yeah, illusion as well as yeah, illusion is correct. Then 65.
Became materialistic.
Yeah, it's lust again. That's what the cycle again repeats. If one does not come to senses again. Yeah. 66. Of course, yeah, you can give also. You can also say he has fallen down also. That also. Yes, that also. And yes. Okay, 65 is where he gave up the company of young wife. No? So their anger comes because he saw that his wife is like an obstacle of enjoying with the prostitute. So their anger comes 65. Okay, 66 till what? Okay, till 65 only we were there. Okay, we are done with this. And now here till 40. Yeah. Okay. Okay, the first was okay. Vaikundi Bhari, you want to try?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so for the first verse,
Out of those,
5 arrows of lust. 5 arrows of lust. It's there in the WhatsApp.
yeah.
Anyone else wants to answer?
First one is nothing, Prabhuji, nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, good. Thank you. Second,
Second also nothing.
Yes, yes. Second also nothing. Third also actually nothing. Okay, okay, till fourth, fifth, it's all a description. Okay, sixth also have nothing. Okay. Okay, seventh.
Is the contemplation?
No, actually, no, this arrows of lust we are discussing. Of course, here, okay, so the seventh one is pleasing and desiring feeling, because of the Bharat Maharaj felt compassion. Of course, the compassion is at a material level, so that will be appropriate. Now, okay, eighth, he became very affectionate towards the deer, and he began to raise it, maintain it by giving it grass. So for the eighth, it comes like, in fact, attraction and
Lust to
temptation.
enjoy. Lust
Yeah,
to enjoy.
yeah, attraction and temptation. No, actually, we are discussing the 5 arrows of lust. Of course, yeah. Okay, that also comes here. Okay, fine. He sometimes kissed it out of love, being attached to raising the deer, etc. So then, for the ninth, the king began to think, alas, this helpless young deer, by the force of time and agent of Supreme Personality of Godhead, has now lost its relatives and has taken shelter of me. So here, what it became is like infatuation or delusion. No, he thinks that the deer has taken shelter of him. Actually, he got attracted and he succumbed to the deer, means thinking that the deer is dependent on him. And it has full faith in me. It doesn't know anyone but me. Yeah, like this. Even though one is in the renounced order, one who is advanced certainly feels compassion for this. Okay. 11th one, due to attachment for the deer, Maharaj Bharat lay down with it, walked about it, bathed with it, and even ate with it. Thus his Bharat became bound to the deer in affection. So this is
Attached.
like, it's
Attached.
like,
Bodily attachment.
yeah, it's like love sickness, it is called. That is the fourth arrow of lust. Means he thought his life is incomplete without the deer, so his whole life he is spending with the deer only. Then when Maharaj Bharat wanted to enter the forest to collect kusha grass and all, he would therefore always take the deer with him while entering the forest. Again, this is also love sickness or weakness. So we have to discuss till 14. Yeah. So when entering the forest, the animal would appear very attractive to Bharat Maharaj and would even take the. His heart was so filled with great love for the deer that he would sometimes keep it on his lap when sleeping. So this is all weakness. So when he was actually worshipping the Lord and all, he was getting distracted by the deer. He stops the worship and all. So may my dear calf, may you be happy in all respects. So this is how it's love sickness and weakness. Then ultimately in 27th, he dies. He leaves his body remembering the deer. At the time of death, the king saw the deer was sitting by his side exactly like his own son and was lamenting his death. Actually, the mind of the king was absorbed in the body of the deer and consequently like those who bereft of Krishna consciousness. So yeah, so it is the arrows of lust. Maybe I think time was not sufficient, but yeah, we have to also complete something. Okay. Okay. So now Krishna is answering the next verse. So till now, Krishna addressed the thing like how one has to control senses. So one has to first separate the senses from sense objects. The second is meditate, but still the desire to enjoy remains. So for that, one has to focus on the transcendental knowledge. Then Krishna told how senses are still strong, even a very intelligent person, even your intelligence is strong, it is not sufficient. So then Krishna tells one has to also fix one's mind in devotion. So then the conquest of senses is achieved. So this is so then next question is how one engages with the senses. So that is Arjuna's last question, which Krishna is answering now. Ragadvesha vimuktaistu vishayan indriyaischarani.
Ragadvesha vimuktestu vishayanindriyascharan.
Atmavasher vidheyatma prasadamadi
Atmavashyarvidhiyatma prasadam adhigacchati.
The translation: one whose mind is offered to me, even though he enjoys the sense objects with the senses freed of attachment and repulsion under the control of mind, attains a pure mind. So once from the mind, the attachment and aversion, raga and dvesha, from the with respect to sense objects is over, means the mind doesn't have. So then he can engage with the sense objects, and by so he will not, so he will engage with the sense objects, but he will engage with the sense objects only for the sake of his doing his dharma. He will not engage with the sense objects for his own enjoyment. So that way, that also will purify him, and by that he will attain more and more realization. Here prasadam is basically the realization. He will more and more gets purified. So this is the answer to the fourth question. And this theme is being described Krishna in the next 6 verses. Yeah. Atma Vasha, senses are under control of mind. Prasadam Adhigachati, they advance in the path of yoga and gets purified and attains peace. So then more and more the mind becomes calmer, and so one will attain peace in that way. Yeah, if you see even the prasadam prayers also, these steps are there. That no, the tongue gets controlled, then one will be removed from the cycle of birth and death, then one will be engaged in the service of Krishna and of Gaurnita and sing the glories of Radha and Krishna. So slowly these stages also come in prasadam prayers. Yes, bro, you can read the highlighted part.
It is already explained that one may externally control the senses by some artificial process, but unless the senses are engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord, there is every chance of a fall. Although the person is in full Krishna consciousness, may apparently be on the sensual plane. Because of his being Krishna conscious, he has no attachment to sensual activities. The Krishna conscious person is concerned only with the satisfaction of Krishna and nothing else. Therefore, he is transcendental to all the attachment and detachment.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, basically a devotee identifies himself with what is pleasing to Krishna and what is not pleasing to Krishna. This is the first step of surrender also. No? And anukulyasya Krishna and pratikulyasya vajjana. Anukulyasya sankalpe pratikulyasya vajjana. So purified intelligence means intelligence with the right understanding of Krishna consciousness and understanding what is the temporary nature of the material world, etc. And freed from wrong understanding. What is that wrong understanding? That matter gives enjoyment. That one. Then purified mind also means, so the desires to enjoy matter are not there, but the desires to serve Krishna, the devotees of Krishna, there are emotions towards Krishna, appreciation of Krishna's qualities, appreciation of Krishna's form, even also refers to spiritual master, devotees, etc. So this is the symptom of purified mind, and this is also a symptom of purified intelligence. So these are the stages. Like first stage is separating the senses from sense objects. Then contemplating on transcendental knowledge. Also learning devotional service and adding. So once one gets purified by this, then one can engage the senses with sense objects. So like if you take example in the Brahmacharya ashram, means in the traditional Varnashrama system, Vedic system, So in Brahmacharya, one is trained in all these things, separating senses from sense objects, learning transcendental knowledge and contemplating on them. So they are made to recite entire verses, so many verses and all, memorize, and then so if one memorizes it, it becomes easy to meditate. Otherwise, always you cannot hear always a lecture, then to meditate on that and all. So that's why it is a good practice to try to memorize verses, or if not, Vaishnava songs or whatever. Because always, yeah, for meditating on verses may not be possible. So one can memorize Vaishnava songs. Even there are devotees like now, even the Babaji also wrote some songs in Hindi also, so they can be memorized. So that's a good, that will becomes easy to contemplate and all. But one can make notes and try to recollect points from a lecture. That is also good. Then devotion to God as an so to memorize verses, it's one can hear every day. Sometime one can hear the audio of recitation of verses. So that will help us in memorizing the verses. So then one has to. So in Brahmacharya, one will also learn doing deity worship and all. So or doing yajna. So that is there. So once Brahmacharya training is over, which is generally the 90%, 95, 99% case in the traditional system. So then one is, so in general also, in the traditional system, the Brahmacharya Gurukul, it's mainly there to train one in Nishkama Karma. Means not in being what is Varnashrama Dharma and being dutiful, learning the etiquette and all. It's not to make one a devotee of God or that's not the major focus in the Gurukul. Of course, typically based on one's inspiration, one may go into different paths, karma, jnana, demigod worship, like that. Then after that, in Grihastha, one is engaging his senses with the sense objects. One is working, earning money, dealing with opposite sex, many things, dealing with materialists, so all. So because if one is purified, like as Krishna told, if mind is purified from attachment and aversion to sense objects, then one can deal with the world. Of course, in a devotional context, initially one is taught to follow four regulative principles. Also, you can say Vaishnava etiquette. Vaishnava etiquette also will be there. And along with that, Vaishnava etiquette, and always a goodness lifestyle and goodness. That is there. So then one will do chanting and shravanams and swadhyay. So through that one will learn transcendental knowledge, and one will it also becomes devotional service. So then as one is purified and he has understood the concepts and all, his practice is very regular and also and is dedicated in his service, and then one will also be encouraged to preach. So then they can actually speak with conviction and clear people's doubts and inspire them by setting a good example to take to Krishna consciousness. So, yeah. Okay. So now Krishna is telling how the mind becomes more and more pure. So what will be the effects? Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajaayate.
प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानां हानिरस्योपजायते
Prasanna chetaso hiyaso buddhi paryavatiष्ठति.
प्रसन्नचेतसो यासु बुद्धिपर्यवतिष्ठते.
Yeah. So as one becomes more and more pure in mind, so what happens is sarva dukkhanam hanirasyo upajayate, which means uh, even though there are so many difficulties one encounters, so one will not be too much, one will not suffer. Even though externally one is going through pain and all. like earlier, if before Krishna consciousness, if little health gets down, no, one will think as if the whole life is lost. But now, okay, it's a part of life, no disease, all that. So the pain will be less, or the pain will not be there. Depends upon one's advancement. You see Jaipatak Maharaj, how he is not at all, affected by the condition of the body and all. Then prasanna chetasa, mind will be always pleased and satisfied. That is the symptom of a pure mind. Then buddhi paryavatishthati, then the intelligence also becomes transcendental. Quickly the intelligence concentrates on Atma, completely becomes fixed. Means the purpose will be very clear. One will make very proper decisions favorable to Krishna consciousness, like that. Effects of pure mind, mitigation of all distress, sarva dukkhanam hayarasya, fixity of intelligence, etc. Yeah. Okay, so the cycle is like this. So we started the sense control, separation of senses from sense objects, and matparaha, devotion to Lord. Then mind is freed. Okay, intelligence based on Atmagyan. Then okay, then senses, sense control, separation. Then matparaha, devotion to Lord. Then mind is freed from attachment and aversion by doing devotion and sense control. So then one can engage senses with sense objects. Then one becomes pure. Then intelligence becomes more fixed. So then it's like a cycle. In one sense, this part is more like sadhana, and this part is like seva. So in that way, sadhana and seva, they both complement each other. But first, to do good seva, we should do first good sadhana. Then they both complement each other. If one does first seva and neglect sadhana, then it will not work. It may not work properly. Okay, the translation. Okay, only translation is there. For one thus satisfied in Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence no longer. In such satisfied consciousness, one intelligence is soon well established. Okay. Yeah. So, okay, any doubts till now in what we discussed? Anyone has any doubts? So now, as such, all the questions of to Arjuna are answered. Now Krishna is just describing this, and he describes how Sthita Prajna will attain liberation. Now, in next two verses, Krishna contrasts one who is Sthita Prajna and one who is not a Sthita Prajna. What is their life and all. Nasti buddhir ayuktasya na chayuktasya bhavana.
नास्ति बुद्धिरयुक्तस्य न च युक्तस्य भावना
न च अभावयत शांतिर अशांतस्य कुतः सुखम्.
न चाभावयतः शान्तिरशान्तस्य कुतः परम सुखम्.
Okay. So the translation is, for one who is not performing yoga, ayuktasya. So one who is not practicing this nishkama karma yoga, he does not have a fixed intelligence, buddhi. We saw that, vyavasayatmika buddhi samadho na vidiyate. Bahushaka hi anantasya samadho na vidiyate. Sorry. And he does not have a spiritual contemplation, bhavana. So yeah, he does not have the spiritual emotions and all. So without such contemplation on the Atma, means he does not have that habit of contemplating on Atma, seeing things from the angle of Atma and all. Without such contemplation on the Atma, there is no destruction of thirst for material objects. So Shanti is not there. Otherwise, that's what. One who is a practicing Sakama Karma, always there is Bhoga Ishwarya Prasaktana. There will be always attachment. So there is always anxiety. Okay, this material object I have to get more. This thing I have. This thing should not get lost. So all that things. All whole time goes in maintaining the sense objects and acquiring more sense objects and protecting the sense objects. That's what. How can a person who is afflicted by thirst for enjoyment, ashantasya, have happiness? So if one's mind is always disturbed, then there is no chance of being happy in the Krishna consciousness thing. Yeah, always. That's what outside people they like they see social media and they get to that FOMO is there. I'm missing this, I'm missing that, or I have not visited foreign countries. Oh, I did not have the latest model of car. I did not have the latest model of iPhone mobile. So like that, different thought things come. Oh, my son is not studying that well, like the neighbor's child, like that. Always the thoughts come. So there is no question of them being happy. So one of the important things of happiness is the mind should be controlled. One who is not connected with Supreme and Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind. Without which there is no possibility of peace. Yeah, without a steady mind, there is no possibility of peace, and without peace, there is no possibility of happiness. Yes, bro, you can read the highlighted portion.
Disturbance is due to want of an ultimate goal, and when one is certain that Krishna is the enjoyer, proprietor, and friend of everyone and everything, then one can, with a steady mind, bring about peace. Therefore, one who is engaged without a relationship with Krishna is certainly always in distress and is without peace. However much he may make a show of peace and spiritual advancement in the life, Krishna consciousness is a self manifested peaceful condition which can be achieved only in relationship with Krishna.
Okay. So this is an important statement. Disturbance is due to want of an ultimate goal. So unless there is a fixed goal in life, the mind and intelligence will not be steady. So that's what if if typical materialists first they want to study well, then they want a good job. After that, they want to they earn money. They want to earn more money, and they want to show off that they are rich. Then they want to have a nice spouse. Then they want to have a nice house. Then they want to enjoy life. Then they want their children to have similar things. They should have good education and all. And again, another iteration will go with grandchildren and all. Life becomes always they are in disturbed and hardly they have enjoyed the life. Okay, so then distraction while enjoying this. Now again, Krishna is telling while engaging the senses with the sense objects, what caution one has to take. Though the mind is pure, but mind is may not be completely pure. So uh, Krishna is telling how there should be a caution. Indriyanam hi charatam yanmano anuvidyate
Indriyanam hi charatam yanmano anuvidyate
tad asya harati pragyam vayurnavamivambasi.
tadasya harati pradnyam vayurnavam ivambasi.
As a strong wind sweeps away a boat on the water, even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses can carry away man's intelligence. Yeah. So here the context is engaging the senses with sense objects. But in the context of the earlier context was controlling the senses. Controlling the senses also, the senses may go out of control and they may push the mind. Here, the senses will push the mind and the mind can push the intelligence. Because one is engaging with the senses and sense objects. If the intelligence changes, then that engagement of sense objects, one may do it for enjoyment instead of doing it as a dharma. Yeah, purport is small. Unless all of the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, even one of them engaged in sense gratification can deviate the devotee from the path of transcendental development. As mentioned in the life of Maharaj Ambarish, all of the senses must be engaged in Krishna consciousness. That is the correct technique for controlling the mind. Yeah. Ultimately, for everyone to become pure devotee, they have to be engaged 24 hours. So that is a mandatory thing. It's not only for a particular ashram, they have to be 24 engaged. That is the standard of pure devotional service. If one has to go back to Godhead, because that is the symptom of bhava, avyartha kalatvam. Now, that may be in whatever ashram. So as one gradually time progresses, one has to see and plan how to increase one's engagement. Here, that's what Prabhupada is saying, that all the senses should be engaged in the service for the Lord. And in one sense, all the time. So one has to see how one has to progress in that direction. And everyone may go at a different pace, but that should be the goal. That is how one can one can go back to Godhead and attain love of God. Okay. Yeah. So in one sense, if you can see, the previous verse remains sadhana and seva. Because in sadhana, the chances of getting distracted are comparatively less. But while doing seva, the chances of getting distracted is more. So one has to be more careful. So the qualification for doing a seva is not so much uh, being expert is, but being pure and being sense controlled, being having a proper service attitude. Otherwise, one is representing Krishna, so one has to be proper. And apart from that, also that expertise also has to be there. तस्माद्यस्य महाबाहो निगृहीतानि सर्वशः
तस्माद्यस्य महाबाहो निगृहीतानि सर्वशः
इंद्रियाणि इंद्रियार्थेभ्यस्तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता.
इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यस्तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता.
The translation is, therefore, O mighty armed, one whose senses are restrained from their objects is certainly of steady intelligence. So that's what, as Prabhupada told, all the senses are engaged properly. So that is one, if your intelligence is steady, means you are able to engage all the senses properly. Yes, Prabhu, you can read the purport.
One can curb the forces of the sense gratification only by means of Krishna consciousness or engaging all the senses in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As enemies are curbed by superior force, the senses can similarly be curbed not by any human endeavor, but only by keeping them engaged in service of the Lord. One who has understood this, that only by Krishna consciousness is one really established in intelligence, and that one should practice this art under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, is called sadhaka, or a suitable candidate for liberation.
Okay.
For
Yeah, for one who is advanced, all senses are naturally controlled. But for one who is a sadhaka, he has to do it by practice. So advancement is mostly by sense control, not by scholarship or expertise in service, etc. Now again, Krishna is contrasting the life of a Sitapragya and one who is not Sitapragya. या निशा सर्वभूतानां तस्यां जागृति संयमी.
या निशा सर्वभूतानां तस्यां जागर्ति संयमी.
यस्यां जागृति भूतानि सा निशा पश्यतो मुने.
यस्यां जागृति भूतानि सा निशा पश्यतो मुने.
What is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-control, and the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective self. Okay, this is not literally the meaning. So where it's all about the focus. The focus, where the self-control, the sage is interested, the materialist is not interested there, and where the materialist is interested, the sage is disinterested. The spiritual people are disinterested there. So that is the meaning. So intelligence for the sages means for those who are spiritually inclined. So for the Sita Pragya, push Muni means here in the verse referring to Muni, the intelligence is fixed on Atma and sense control. And for the materialist, Jagriti Bhutani. Bhutani means general people, general masses. For them, the intelligence is for material enjoyment. So how he fixes Atma and sense control? So the day. Okay, so how this is the day for Sita Pragya, and he gets realization. Means the Atma, the fixation on Atma and sense control, the process of sense control gives spiritual realization for the sage, and it is night for others because they are ignorant of Atma. Okay. This material enjoyment, it is day for others because their focus is on material enjoyment and they get entangled more and more. But it is night for Sita Pragya, he is indifferent to material enjoyment because he thinks how it is indifferent. We saw in Bhajagovindam prayers. Some kind of understanding every sage will have, and they will not be interested in it. Okay, yes, Pro, you can read the purport.
There are two classes of intelligent men. One is intelligent in material activities for sense gratification, and the other is introspective and awake to the cultivation of self realization. Activities of the introspective sage or a thoughtful man are night for the persons materially absorbed. Materialistic persons remain asleep in such a night due to their ignorance of self realization. The introspective sage remains alert in the night of the materialistic man. The sage feels transcendental pleasure in the gradual advancement of spiritual culture, whereas the man in the materialistic activities, being asleep to the self realization, dreams of varieties of sense pleasures, feeling sometimes happy and sometimes distressed in his sleeping condition. The introspective man is always indifferent to the materialistic happiness and distress. He goes on with his self realization activities undisturbed by material reactions.
Okay. Yeah. First, is it there? I think that is a good video to see. Okay, let me try to search it. Yeah, we can see this video and then we can close for today. How whole day a devotee is engaged in Krishna service. It's a nice example to see.
पे खाते हैं ना।
गुरुदेव कृपा बिंदु दिया करो ए दासे तृण पे खाते ही ना।
सकल सहाने बल दिया करो निज माने स्पृहा है ना।
सकल सहाने बल दिया कर निज माने स्नेहा ही ना।
गुरुदेव कृपा बिंदु दिया करो ए दासे तृण पे खाते हैं ना। सकल सम्मान करिते शकते देहनाथ जथा जाथ।
सकल सम्मान करिते शकति देहनाथ जथा जाथा।
तबे तो गाइबो हरि नाम सुखे अपराध हवे हाथ।
तबे तो गाइबो हरि नाम सुखे अपराध हवे हाथा।
गुरुदेव कृपा बिंदु दिया करो ए दासे ऋण पे खाते हैं ना। कबे है नो कृपा लोभिया जाना कृतार्थ होइबे नाथ।
कबे हेनो कृपा लोभियाए जन कृतार्थ होइबे नाथा।
शक्ति बुद्धिहीन আমি অতি দীন কর মোরে আত্মসাৎ।
शक्ति बुद्धिहीन আমি অতি দীন কর মোরে আত্মসাৎ।
गुरुदेव कृपा बिंदु दिया करो ए दासे तृण पे खाते हैं ना। যোগ্যতা বিচারে কিছু নাহি পাই তোমার করুণা সার।
যোগ্যতা বিচারে কিছু নাই পায়ে তোমার করুণা সারা।
করুণা না হইলে কাঁদিয়া কাঁদিয়া প্রাণ না রাখিব আর।
করুণা ন হইলে কাঁদিয়া কাঁদিয়া প্রাণ না রাখিব আর।
गुरुदेव कृपा बिंदु दिया करो ए
বিচারে কিছু নাই পায়ে তোমার করুণা সারা
করুণা না হইলে কাঁদিয়া কাঁদিয়া প্রাণ না রাখিব আর
করুণা ন হইলে কাঁদিয়া কাঁদিয়া প্রাণ না রাখিব আর
গুরুদেব কৃপা বিন্দু দিয়া করো এই দাসে তৃণপে খাতিহীনা Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva.
Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Tagore.
Yes, a nice example of full day in Krishna consciousness. So one at sadhaka level, one can try as many like on the weekends or on festivals. Many festivals are coming now, Balram Jayanti, Janmashtami. So for that, one has to plan, one has to also do proper sadhana, one has to seek hearing. So one can plan also, one has to plan also, okay, this time, what between this time, what to do, and what we can read, what seva we should engage. So then like that, that's what in life one has to gradually see how one can be more and more engaged in Krishna service, both through sadhana and seva, not just one-sided seva only, but also sadhana. So because Prabhupada told, unless one is fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, there is no chance of complete sense control. And also getting full mercy of Krishna. Because we have to act like a resident of spiritual world, then only Krishna will get the confidence that we can be there in the spiritual world. So that's like that. Okay. Any questions, anything? Okay, so Thank you very much for your
Now, Krishna
participation.
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Okay. Yes, Prabhu.
Sometimes the blissfulness part is missing, happiness part is missing.
Okay. Maybe you're fortunate you're experiencing blissful part. I'm not I'm not so much, but I'll try to tell. Yeah, bliss may not be that's what Jiva Goswami says. For a sadhaka, the driving force is buddhi, means the right understanding. So that spiritual knowledge has to be there. Okay, this is sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti means what? Practice. So even if one may not have taste, one has that knowledge, so one follows it. Chanting 16 rounds, following regulative principles, practicing the other angas of bhakti, doing seva, all this. And for a siddha or for an advanced devotee, the driving force is prema, means bliss. So, so that is there. Of course, that's what, as we discussed earlier, if one can choose the service one which one can be inspired in, so that if one is engaged, one will get that thing also. May not be always at spiritual level, but at least at Sattva also, one will be happy, satisfied. So that will also help. And also we have to see which association of which devotees inspire us. So we can try to take that, if possible personally, otherwise online or different things. And also anga of bhakti also we can see, okay, is it reading Bhagavatam or chanting or something, serving devotees, that also one can see. Okay, I hope it helps.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai,
Thank you,
Shri
Prabhu.
Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much. Very well.
Thank you very much.
Hari.
Thank you.